A while back, I made a video ranking Dragon Ball fights. This is part 2. Let's not waste any time and get onto our first fight, which is Goku vs Piccolo Jr. Now, in the last video, I'm fairly certain I didn't cover any fights from OG Dragon Ball, so this is kind of a first. However, this fight really holds up considering it's from like the older show. The animation in this fight is honestly pristine. There's so many iconic moments. It's brutal. This fight has honestly everything that you want in a Dragon Ball fight. I mean, there's a beam struggle, Piccolo goes giant, Goku has his meteor combination, he gets shot through the shoulder, Piccolo rips his own freaking arm off. I mean, there's so much to love about this fight. The choreography is amazing. I don't think there's really much that you can point out that's wrong with this fight. I mean, like, it's also in a tournament setting, which whenever Dragon Ball does a tournament right. I mean, even the ones that you would consider not as good, like the U6 tournament, majority of it wasn't amazing, but Goku versus Hit happens, Vegeta versus Hit happens, so most Dragon Ball tournaments are pretty solid. But this fight is something else. I mean, another thing it does have is just complete brutality. Like, when you move into Dragon Ball Super, there's a lot less blood. In fact, I think there's barely any in the whole of Super, which I know is a big complaint about Super. This fight is seriously not lacking on the violence. I mean, Goku gets shot through his shoulder, like, Piccolo, like, rips his freaking arm off. I mean, like, what the fuck? That's insane. There's just, the whole thing is brutal and painful, and you can feel, like, the weight behind every punch. It's just fucking peak. I love everything about this fight. It might be one of my favorites, like, in Dragon Ball full stop. I really love Goku versus Piccolo, and I'm pretty sure, like I mentioned in the last video, I might be slightly biased because Piccolo is quite possibly my favorite character, but yeah, man, I do not care. This fight is special, and yeah, for that reason, I think I'm gonna have to give it an S. I think it's gotta have an S. Yeah. Speaking of tournaments, and the U6 tournament, the next fight that I thought I'd look at is Vegeta versus Hit. Now, I kind of had a debate with myself over whether I can even consider this a fight, because, being perfectly honest, Vegeta just gets his ass absolutely handed to him. The most he manages to do is grab Hit's hand and then just get smacked down again. But, like, if we get into the details of the fight, animation-wise, it's alright, not as good as Goku versus Hit, but, you know, we'll discuss that another time. One thing I don't particularly like is the fact that, yeah, I understand that Vegeta is meant to be getting shown up here. This is meant to be sort of making Hit more imposing for when he fights Goku. This is just building up the tension, building up Hit's aura pretty much. But I really don't like how they dumb down Vegeta here. Like, this stance that he pulls at the beginning of the fight is just, what the fuck is this? Why is he standing like that? He's completely open, just leaning forward, and then I'm pretty sure he comments on Hit's stance as well. Like, bud, have you seen how you're like, it's fucking anyway, he's kind of arrogant, gets boxed in the nose, sent flying, and everyone's just, like, confused as to why they can't see Hit's punches. Yeah, it's like the slow reveal of Hit's time skip, which is really cool. It's one of the coolest abilities in the whole show, I've got to be honest. But yeah, other than Vegeta getting absolutely sent all over the place, there's not much back and forth here, so I can't, you know, obviously put it in with the all-time greats, because it's not really there animation, story, meaningfully. It's not really, like, the stakes aren't astronomical. This isn't Gohan versus Cell, this isn't Goku versus Frieza. It's just a tournament fight, which is, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's still a decent fight. It's just, it's not one of the all-time greats, you know. So I think I can give it a relatively fair C+, because, well, there's nothing, like, innately wrong with it. There's also nothing crazily special about it, and I do have a few gripes with how they work Vegeta's character in there, but yeah, other than that, it's fine. It's okay. Now, I feel like this fight doesn't even need an introduction, because it is so fucking peak. Gogeta versus Broly from Dragon Ball Super Broly, I think, might be my favorite Dragon Ball fight of all time. Now, you could argue that's a generic take, you know. You're just a sucker for animation. I don't fucking care. Look at it. It is some of the greatest animation, some of the greatest, like, anything I have ever laid eyes upon. This shit is so perfect. Not only is it Gogeta and Broly, but the animation is wondrous, right? The choreography is insane. The moves that Gogeta pulls out of his booty hole are exceptional. Everything that happens in this fight is just perfection. There's barely anything that contends with it in the whole series. I mean, like, obviously, like I said before with Vegeta versus Hit, the stakes for this fight, they're not the same as Gohan versus Cell, Goku versus Frieza, like fucking Vegeta versus Boo, I guess, or Vegeta versus Fat Boo, anything like that, right? There's no emotional weight behind this fight per se, but this is quite possibly the coolest Dragon Ball fight without question. Not only because Gogeta rocks up, but because Gogeta goes Super Saiyan, Broly goes Super Saiyan, then Gogeta goes fucking Super Saiyan Blue, and they scrap it out, and they like break the dimension. What? They break the fucking dimension. Broly's rocking up in his legendary Super Saiyan hair. They have like a final bout. I mean, at this point, admittedly, it's pretty one-sided. Broly's getting his ass kicked, but Gogeta whips out the Soul Punisher and then does quite possibly one of the coolest Kamehamehas ever. And obviously, he doesn't kill Broly. Broly gets teleported away, whatever. But listen, this fight, right? I don't care if there's no intricate plot leading up to it. This shit is so fucking cool. Just on animation alone, I think I can safely give it Z tier, and I think that's perfectly fair. I mean, the music's amazing, the animation's amazing, the choreography, the action, the fucking blasts. I don't know, like, what do you want me to say? It's amazing. Everything about this fight is amazing. It's, yeah, honestly, heavy contender for my favorite fight in the whole series. Now, after looking at Gogeta versus Broly, I thought I'd pick a fight that I think is better for a lot of different reasons. Like, I feel like the reason I love this fight is completely, like, different from the reason I love Gogeta versus Broly. Vegeta versus Android 19. Now, we looked at Vegeta versus Hit, which was Vegeta getting his ass kicked. Vegeta versus 19, Vegeta is the one dishing out the ass kicking. Not only does this include Vegeta's first transformation into a Super Saiyan, which is, you know, fucking incredible on its own. Just like Goku versus Piccolo, this fight has violence. I mean, admittedly, it's against an android, so it's not crazily, like, horrifying and gruesome, but Android 19 gets his fucking hands ripped off by Vegeta, which, watching this, you know, like, back when I was little, I was like, holy cow. I mean, Vegeta hits him with the can an android like yourself ever experience fear, which is one of the coolest lines ever. And then, like, when Android 19 attempts to fight him, he's just completely outclassed the whole time. Vegeta kicks his shit, you know, knocks him down into the ground. Android 19 tries, like, holding onto him. He's like, I'll never let you go until I have your energy. Vegeta's like, he doesn't kick him in the face, he just sort of pushes against him and rips his hands off, and then whips out the Big Bang attack. I mean, like, how many iconic moments do you want in one fight? It's just, obviously, animation. This is no Gogeta. It's just a normal ass Dragon Ball Z episode, but the animation it's good for what it is, right? Android 19, I don't really care for him as a character, but he does decent in this fight. He does his purpose. The whole absorbing energy thing is cool, and obviously because Goku had the heart virus, Goku versus 19 went entirely differently. But this just shows how Vegeta is now a level above. He's gone beyond, and he's not here for the gimmicks. He just raw power, and he kicks the shit out of 19, and I love every second of it. So yeah, this fight, I think, deserves a B+. And yeah, that about wraps up for today's episode. If you're watching this, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. In fact, I appreciate if you've been watching these videos. You know, I put as much effort as I can into them, and I know I'm not really as consistent as I used to be, but you know, trying, and I appreciate anyone that watches these. So yeah, thank you guys as usual, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that will be. Bye.